You should sit down. And you still didn't get it. I mean, you had no idea. I was like, hey, man, you should sit down. I got some news I need to share.
None of us are meant to stay here. The interesting thing about Judy and Brian is where they believed they were going. Howdy, folks. Brian Cusco here at Redline Report, and today is a very special video. We're going to share about Judy, who just passed last week. And Judy, if you haven't met Judy, well, it was definitely your loss, and it's our loss that she's no longer here with us. She worked with Redline Shipping, Ship Your Reptiles, Reptile Report, and those are just some titles she has. But Judy was a very special person, and Robin has known her a lot longer and better than I have, even though the time I got to know her has just been incredible. But wanted to dedicate this video to her. So, and I know there's somebody out there who really needs to see this. So that's why we're sharing. I didn't know her nearly as well as you did.
Yeah.
But what I do know of her and the moments I've had with her and the super sweet, very real, and so in that, like, not fake, like very, very real,
Very
and
genuine person.
legitimate person who's not putting on a front, and also very, very sweet, and not afraid to vent any frustrations or stuff that she has going on.
We can talk about Judy.
Yeah, we don't have to. It's just my
No,
thought.
we totally can.
Yeah.
And Judy passed away recently, last week. And you try and deal with that as a life event, right? A friend and peer. She's rather suddenly, unexpectedly passed away. And we had a few days to process that. I really didn't think about it, but then you come to Tinley and, you're enjoying the show and you're moving and got goals and things to do here at the show. And then, every once in a while, somebody will stop me because they want to share a story about Judy or share condolences or whatever it might be. And, I mean, just shakes you right back to base, right? Like right back to reality. That's been a little bit difficult. I like to compartmentalize stuff. This is my personality, right? So you can just kind of put stuff away for now and focus on other goals. But that one keeps getting opened up. And I'm not mad about it. It's fine, right? Because everybody has to grieve. Everybody has to go through the process. And she touched a lot of folks with her genuineness and her personality and her passion. She's very passionate about reptiles, very passionate about the industry. So it's good to share some moments. And I've shared some moments with people that I don't normally share moments with, right? Because sometimes the reality of life events end up connecting us together, right? Maybe we don't have a relationship together, but we share this common crossing. And so in this case, this weekend, that common crossing a lot of times has been Judy. So, for those that weren't familiar, Judy's a longtime herper. She's been in the industry decades. And she was with a group of folks that started the ballpythons.net forum. So back in the 2000s, there was a kingsnake.com forum, was kind of the OG original community website. But then that kind of sparked new forums that are more species specific. And one of the most dominant ones was ballpythons.net. It was run by a group of passionate, ball python collectors. And Judy was part of that group. And so I used to interact with her there a little bit. And I hadn't met her at that point. But in 2012, I had a life event earlier with a fire that had shut down our Pro Exotics breeding career and closed that chapter. And so I was thinking about what comes next. right? Transitionary periods. And what comes next? And I had this idea for the reptile report. Just never had time to really consider it or execute it. But now we had some time on our hands. And so I thought, I want to execute this reptile report idea, but I need somebody to help me out. It's a kind of a big project. Um, I need somebody smart. I need somebody who knows animals really well, really good communicator, really good organizationally. And so I reached out to Judy and I was like, hey, I've got this idea, reptile report thing. We're going to aggregate photos and videos and events and news and forum posts and everything. And I pitched it to her and she liked the idea. And so she was in. Immediately she was in. And so we started working on the reptile report together. And that became our passion and obsession for the next few years, was building that. We had a lot of fun working together on that. We just clicked right away on a friendship level, on a peer level, on a partnering together, working level. At the same time, Ship Your Reptiles was taking off pretty fast and growing well. And I've been in businesses throughout my adult life, various ventures. And one common thread is great staffers are always hard to find. Great partners are hard to find. And I recognized that Judy was a really great staffer and a great partner. And so as Ship Your Reptiles grew, there's other opportunities there too. And so part of our evolution was she then transitioned over to the Ship Your Reptiles side and started working on that business. So she had helped establish Reptile Report very strongly. And then she transitioned over to Ship Your Reptiles and started working with us there and helping me with accounts and as the business grew. And she was a really key part of that team. And that was mid 2015, 2016 or so. And then, again, stuff evolves. And 2019, I split from SYR and I split with my partner. And I had a few years down trying to find a new thing, new path. And then once I started Redline Shipping, Judy was right there again. And she put her hand up and she said, I'd love to work with you again. Right? Because it's like you and me. We do big shit together. And she was in immediately. And I was like, absolutely. Let's do it. And so she joined with me in my Redline adventure. And, it was just always, for the past 15-ish years, have been in touch and working together. And she's been a very key part of my success and our business's success. It's going to be weird to move forward without her as a part of our team. So to try and capture the last chapter of this, last year she was starting to have a few health problems. And nothing couldn't overcome. But just, weird issues here and there. Late in the year, she went into the hospital and had some tests done, and they found out she had some cancer going on, and she's a 59-year-old lady, so I don't think that's old, but you got some decades in you. So it's not unusual to find some cancer, but it didn't seem life-threatening. I mean, it's part of what millions of people deal with, right? Especially at this, 50, 60-year-old age. So she had a couple bouts in the hospital. They did find that it was spreading, but she felt pretty good. And we were concerned, but we weren't freaked out. And neither was she. But, I'm sure she took it more personally than anybody else. But she was very positive. Like, okay, hey, this is the diagnosis. We'll deal with this. We'll work through it. End of the year came. She was feeling better. She was still working, still putting in hours for Redline Shipping. Judy was also crucial in our trade show efforts. So she would help run point on shows, logistics, travel arrangements for everybody, making sure all the inventory was on point, making sure everything got shipped to the show correctly, make sure everything shipped home from the show correctly. That was a key part of her thing. And January came, and she had a couple little setbacks going back in the hospital. Not in the best of health, but again, she didn't lose her positivity. And we talked about, what are we going to do for Tinley coming up? And she's like, I'll be fine. Don't sweat it. Talked to her again in February, which at this point is only 6 or 7 weeks ago. And, I said, hey, how are you feeling? Turns out she had a small stroke, was back in the hospital, getting some tests, not feeling her best, but she was very positive that she was going to be fine. She's like, I'll be fine for Tinley. I'll make it, the show. Don't worry about it. I thought, well, maybe just rest up, right? Get stronger, feel better. We'll manage through the show. We'll figure it out. But she was determined. She had a real passion for doing shows. She loved being at the shows. She loved interacting with people. She's been doing shows forever. So, it's like a family out here, right? You literally see hundreds of people at the shows that are part of your reptile life experience. Judy's one of those people, and then she has exposure to hundreds of people that she's looking forward to seeing. So yeah, she planned on being at the show. And of course, in 2 weeks from now, we're at the Tinley show now. In 2 weeks, we got the Dallas show, which is essentially her backyard. And so also going to do the Dallas show. And it turned out that was the last time I talked to her. She went back in the hospital. I believe she had another small stroke. And then I reached out by text and didn't hear back. That was kind of bothersome. So I reached out to some of her kids, and they explained that her eyesight had gotten really bad. It was affected by the illness. And so she couldn't read her phone. And so that's why she's not responding to text stuff. She can't make out what's on the screen, right? But, she's in fairly good spirits and doing okay. So, all right. A couple more days go by, haven't heard anything. Reach out again. And then I got a text from her husband. And he said, she's taking a downturn. She's in ICU. And that was unexpected. That's okay. Now that's like serious, right? Because I was just chatting with her, and she said she's going to be okay. But now she's in the ICU. And then a couple days later, after that, they were moving her into hospice, which is not progress. And a couple days later, I got a text in the morning and said she'd passed in her sleep that night. And so when you step back and look at it, it's about a 6-week period of talking to Judy and her assuring you that she's all okay. Some setbacks, little health issues, some challenges, but I'll be okay. 6 weeks later, she's gone. That's hard to process. Right? Because that's fast.
Right. Not like where you have the time of
That's
somebody
fast.
who's been fighting something for a while and you kind of know they're on their way versus somebody you're expecting to just make a quick recovery and be there in a couple weeks. Yeah.
Right.
Totally.
It doesn't make any sense. I wasn't even considering that. I appreciated that she was going to have some challenges. And they're talking about, you're going to have to start chemotherapy, go through some process and treatment like that, which is a very, difficult and challenging type of treatment. I wasn't looking forward to that for her. But there wasn't even 1% of me that thought she wouldn't make it to Tinley. Like that's not possible. But at the same time, I understand life doesn't wait for any of us. It just keeps rolling. It doesn't matter. In the end, it doesn't matter what you want, how you need things to go. It does its own thing and at its own pace. And none of us expected that type of a pace. It's very humbling. It's very scary. But it's very shocking and humbling to think, like, wow, that things could change like that
Moment. Yeah.
just in a flash. And time moves so fast already, right? Like life just rolls by at 100 miles an hour. So 6 weeks, 8 weeks, I mean, it's just gone in no time. So, yeah, to get a text one morning and Judy has passed in her sleep last night. I wasn't expecting that. And I was close to Judy. We shared a lot of really great experiences and moments and successes in business and in the reptile world. But my relationship with Judy paled in comparison with my wife's relationship with Judy. My wife Nikki had her own completely separate relationship with Judy. They loved each other. They were very close friends. And, my wife has her own relationships and her own experiences. And she doesn't loop me into all of those things, right? Because that's her. Judy is somebody that works for me, yes. But to Nikki, Judy's one of my best friends. And that's got nothing to do with you,
Yeah.
Like and that's fine.
That's what I love about your guys' relationship, honestly, is that, yeah.
Yeah, there's very clear lines, and she does her own thing, and she has her own relationship with Judy that's completely independent of what I've done and where we've been together with Judy and stuff. And I know that they exchange text all the time, and they share life challenges, and they counsel each other, and they lean on each other. And, Nikki's great, but she's, having some challenges as we all start to get older herself. And, sleep is not so great sometimes anymore, as your body and life changes in your 50s. It just so happens that morning, she slept great. She had a really good night's sleep. She woke up in a great mood, feeling rested and positive and optimistic about the day. And I'm laying next to her reading my text that Judy had passed. And I was like, when am I going to share this with Nikki? Because we've had some really bad nights of sleep lately. And, she's been really discouraged about getting good rest and feeling good and strong. And here she is feeling fantastic. And, I'm like, well, I've got to share this with her. When is that going to happen? I don't want to do this. So I waited till midday. And she was having a great day, working in the garden. It was a beautiful day out. She's working in the garden, loving the progress she's making, telling me about her dumb plants and all the shit he's planting and progress she's making, which she's so passionate about. And I said, hey, I got to tell you something. And she knew right then, just from my demeanor and my face. She was like, it's Judy, right? Yeah. Yep. Then she just broke down, bawling, just crying her eyes out. It's that's always an interesting process. I don't know if you've had that process. You have to relay that kind of news to somebody. Oh, fuck.
It's okay.
I forgot. You and I have been through the same process, my friend. I don't know if I'm not sure if you know what I'm talking about, but
Yeah, of course I do.
Judy was really close with Brian Barczyk. She really admired him. They were good friends. They traveled the world together. She went on him to, Australia trips. I mean, she's fantastic. As a right hand, she is fantastic. And so Brian leaned on her too. Used her for the Australia trip, used her for the Africa trip. Because she's great at logistics. She's great at management. She's great at keeping shit together. And, Brian's, he's all over the place,
Yeah.
right? Mr. Dream and big dreams and let's do this and let's do that and boom, boom, boom. And he needs somebody, whether that's Lori or in this case Judy, to be like, hey, let's keep this realistic and executable. So he used her for that, but they were really close. And, like the rest of us, Judy watched Brian fight against cancer and health for a year, right? We all had to watch that process. And that was hard, right? This guy you love so much struggle and fight and have ups and have downs. And things look like going to be good, and things look like it's going to be hard. She really struggled with that. And I guess in hindsight, now that I think about it, I wonder how that affected her thought during this 2-3 month period. Like her reflection on what Brian went through. Because I know she thought about it. But, yeah, son of a bitch. When I found out about Brian Barczyk's diagnosis, you were the first person I told. Because I know how close you were to Brian. And so I had to share Judy's news with Nikki. But previous to that, I had to share Brian's news with you. And I remember it very, very well. I don't remember. Do you remember it specifically?
I mean, yeah.
'Cause I called you.
Yeah.
And like normal, you were happy, great mood, great to hear from you. Hey, buddy, how's it going? And I said, you should sit down. And you still didn't get it. I mean, you had no idea. I was like, hey, man, you should sit down. I got some news I need to share. Because nobody really knew about Brian's diagnosis at that time, right? And turns out he had pancreatic cancer. And you were really close with Brian and Lori and their whole family. And I wanted to make sure you were in the loop and you didn't hear it on the wire, right? So I said, hey, man, you should sit down. I have some news to share. And what I've discovered over the years is I can think about stuff, okay, but sometimes it's really hard to verbalize stuff. To say, hey, this is happening. And I remember I struggled to get it out. I struggled to say, our friend has been diagnosed and our friend is dying. So yeah, I've done that a couple times now. That fucking sucks. God, that's hard. But again, I don't want Nikki to find out from somewhere else, right?
No.
Judy has passed. This is somebody really dear and close to her heart. So I better tell her before, she reads it on Facebook or something more sudden and unpleasant, right? I try and walk her through it. And same with Brian. I thought, man, I got to talk to Cusco sooner than later so that you can process it and deal with it as well. Life is hard sometimes.
It's delicate.
Delicate, yes. It's hard, but it's delicate. Yeah, that's a good way to put it.
None of us are meant to stay here.
Nope, nothing you can do about it. Shit is gonna roll. Like I said, life is gonna move forward, whether you like it or not. And we don't have a lot of control over that.
No control over it. We spend time trying to grasp at straws of control, thinking that we have some kind of control over something,
Yeah.
anything. The truth is we have none over any of it. We're just riding a wave, and that wave's going to crash when it crashes.
Hmm.
Um, there's a. It's interesting the two people you brought up, like those are the two people that connect us in that way, Judy and Brian, in that those stories. I've had other people that we don't have connection to jointly at all, where
Uh-huh.
I've lost different people along the way. Some have hit me harder than others. Some people I spent lots of time with, growing up as kids or whatnot. And the interesting thing about Judy and Brian is where they believed they were going.
Hmm.
That gives me comfort. I've spoken with both of them, in deep levels before they were gone. Judy, I was expecting to see Judy here too.
Right. Yeah.
Uh, it gives me comfort to know where they believe they're going. So that's different for me. I'm still processing what that means for me.
Yeah.
But it is different. I've not felt those type of well, I guess my grandma was first, but that was tough. But with these folks, including my grandma, actually, like just my understanding that they knew what they believed and where they're going. It's different. It's different. That's all I know how to say is that it's different versus like somebody I know who passed it that didn't have that.
Because it gives you comfort.
Because of where they know they're going, where they knew they were going to, what their next step was beyond leaving this world, that they had that knowledge and faith. I mean, yeah, it gives me a
But
comfort for them.
you take comfort that they have comfort,
Yes.
right?
Yes. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Yeah. Sometimes the people that have to face this type of a battle, right? Health issue or cancer issue. Um, Sometimes all they have is fear. That's got to be harder,
I would imagine.
right? And uh, you can't control, right, how they're going to feel. It was a challenge with Brian because I had to accept that and understand that he could process it however he wanted. It, you know, um, Whatever gave him comfort. That's all I cared about. So that was what was important to me because his battle was more extended. And so, he ended up focusing a lot on the Legacy Aquarium as a goal in front of him. Say, I'm going to work on this goal and uh, um, this idea of what we can accomplish. And I mean, I went back and forth on that a little bit because I was like, Brian, same time you could just go home, just hang out with your grandkids and your kids, and just chill out in a chair. But that wasn't for him, right? For him, he wanted to process it by having a goal and working towards something. And for me, in my ignorance, I was thinking you'd be more comfortable sitting at the side of a lake
Which no,
watching the waves. But to him, that's no.
not comfortable at all.
I'm sure, yeah, he was like, that'd be a nightmare. Like,
Yeah.
be bored to death. And so I let that go, and I was like, you know what? Whatever he wants to do, that's what he should do. Because I want him to have peace and have comfort. And that's super important, I think, for somebody processing it for a longer term. There's a certain part of me that thinks it's super unfair that I mean, Judy's was so quick, I don't think she had a chance to consider
Mm.
what goals were or, how she wanted to process it. It was fast. But at the same time, boy, I'm grateful for that.
Mm. Yeah.
I'm grateful that she had very little downtime to dwell on that. I mean, it happened just so fast.
Yeah.
And so I'm glad. 'Cause I don't want to see my friend suffer. It takes a very strong personality to have that extended fight. I don't know that I have that in me. I don't know. Brian did. He's stronger than me, I tell you that. But I can also deeply appreciate that the process for Judy happened so fast, and I'm grateful for that. Because I don't want to see my friend suffer. I had a hard time watching Brian deteriorate. Got thinner and lost his hair, even though I've been trying to, get him cut his dumb ponytail for years. But wasn't like that. That was my plan. But
Right.
I don't know. I mean, at the same time, God, he was always so positive, right? And always so goal oriented and focused. Yeah, stronger than me. But I'm glad Judy didn't have to fight and suffer through stuff. There's a certain appreciation for how quickly that happens. But again, like crazy humbling. Theoretically, 6 weeks from now, my life could be very, very different. Like that's how it works sometimes.
Theoretically, we might not see tomorrow here on
Theoretically.
this earth.
Yeah. Yeah. And, Nikki and I have had some conversations after Judy passed of kind of some, reality smack you in the face kind of conversations like, oh, you know what? We should really finish up our wills and we should really get clear on what our plans and expectations are. Because this is a big reality hit. Like life changes fast.
Yeah. Could be, it's a blink of an eye.
Yeah, let's not assume.
Right.
Let's not take for granted
Yes.
that, hey, we'll worry about it 20 years from now. No, so, she sat me down and she's like, we're going to talk about some stuff. Our expectations. What happens if? What are our plans? And boy, that's an unpleasant conversation. But I recognize, it's important because we just learned how delicate, to use your word, how delicate life is and how quickly things can change.
It's interesting how something like this it's like that's what it so often takes to give that perspective. It's like, what is this? Why does this person have to leave us now? Why? It's a lot of times people say it's unfair, and I'm not going to argue against that necessarily. Although, well, with some of my understandings like that, we all go there. That's all of us. Not one of us escapes that. It's Romans 3:23, and so it's an important part of life. I think is to it helps us recognize when we lose somebody like this.
Mm-hmm.
It gets us in that spot where like of really real appreciation, truly being grateful for the moments that we have
Mm-hmm.
with each other and here on earth, and to not waste them, not because it's so easy to do. It's so easy to take it for granted. It's so easy to get distracted from the reality of how this world is. And
What's important?
Yeah.
What matters?
Yeah.
Who matters?
Mm-hmm.
The people around you, your family, your friends, right? Yeah. It certainly helps you focus and have perspective. And perspective's a really big thing for me. It's important to me to always have perspective and appreciate. Because sometimes shit feels real freaking hard. Sometimes you can get real discouraged. But perspective helps me understand how lucky I am. Right?
Mm-hmm.
As hard as it can be, as hard as it feels, as heavy as it feels, I got it. I got it. We can move forward. There's literally a billion people that have it harder than me and have more difficult challenges than I do. So the perspective helps me appreciate what I have and be grateful for everything that I have, including all the challenges. Yeah.
That's not an easy one perspective. It's not.
No, but it's important. Yeah.
Yes, very important. I agree.
And Judy, that situation is, it's a really tough loss, but boy, that helps reinforce that perspective again.
How do you feel about joining us tomorrow over there on the chairs in the morning?
You put me on the spot.
I'm not, none of this has to be on a video.
Um,
Judy was there. And for all, in some respects, maybe not physically, but Judy will be there tomorrow.
I don't know.
No pressure. Zero pressure. I want to make that
I
absolutely
don't know.
clear.
It's interesting.
Zero pressure. That's that Judy. I'm just
It's interesting.
Judy would be there tomorrow. She had been there ever since we started doing it. She was there.
That's interesting. You're challenging me.
I'm not meaning to. I mean,
But you
it's
are.
more of an invitation.
I understand.
Yeah.
But there's a vulnerability there.
Oh, absolutely. Absolutely.
And I don't know that I can give that up.
You don't have to. You can just sit.
I know.
You can just sit quietly too.
Right. Sure.
I'm literally no expectation, no pressure.
What time is it?
9. So there is that. There's time. It is a time that 9 is practical because it's not too early, but it's enough time that we can go before the show doors open. Sing a couple songs. That you don't have to sing. You can just listen.
I'm definitely not singing. I don't know.
I would love for you to be there.
I appreciate that. Normally I would say no.
Mm-hmm.
But it's not normal. I'm considering.
Awesome.
I'm
I lo-
processing.
I love that.
Yeah. It's still not a yes.
I know. The fact that you didn't say no immediately is good enough for me.
Are you going to play Tom's guitar?
Yes, I am.
I like to explore these kind of topics. I'm okay with being emotional about some things, right? And vulnerable about some things. Especially as you get older. You become more comfortable with emotions or
Hopefully.
vulnerabilities,
Yeah, hopefully.
right? Because you're not, you don't have such a, tough guy front or machismo front or insecure front or whatever you're putting
That's
up.
a perspective. It's knowledge
Yes.
that comes with time.
Yeah. But at the same time, there's still protective walls that are up, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah. So for you inviting me to your service Sunday morning with Troy,
If he shows up.
he'll be there.
Sometimes.
I mean, he's half a goofball, but at the same time, he's also a very sincere,
Absolutely.
thoughtful person.
Absolutely.
And I don't know. That might be too much. I don't know if I can handle it. I really don't know. I'm pretty strong, pretty good, pretty comfortable. I don't mind showing emotion to a point. And I'm trying to process whether that would be too much. You know what I'm saying?
You just come as you are, man. And then you.
I know, but still might be too much.
Like you're worried about how much emotion you might show.
It might be too much vulnerability. Because when we all have to deal with these issues, crises, experiences, life events in your own way.
Well, you
And
will, you will
there's
deal with them.
limitations to it, right? There's still walls and protections.
Can be.
And I'm not so secure in my life that I can break down every fucking wall.
Sure.
I still have to have some protection up,
Mm.
if that makes sense. Like,
I'm hearing what you're saying.
Yeah.
I've had those up for. I mean, I literally came from a mindset of like didn't even want people to see me physically. You know, I'd keep my hood on all through middle school and high school so that I could not be physically seen by people. So
Yeah.
yes, I understand walls.
yeah, but they still exist. 55 years old, they still exist.
Yeah, they some level of wall I think continues to exist for all of us. That's for the
And some things are still really private. So I'm considering your offer.
okay.
And I might not know until 8:55 tomorrow morning.
You don't have to. Literally when I say no expectations, I'm
Yeah,
not
I know.
just talking.
I know. I'm comfortable with that. I appreciate that. But it's interesting. It's interesting because you want to, at the same time, there is a desire to share that moment, right?
Oh yeah.
Find strength in others.
Oh yes.
Find reassurance in others.
There's a. So when you allow your walls to break down, it's very much a feeling of weakness. You know, it can be interpreted that way, or it can actually be that. It is a moment where, like, I'm not going to hold up this wall here, and I'm going to lose strength and be weak. And I find more often than not in those moments, and I've continued to learn this as time and moments go on, there is a strength that shows up in that weakness. And it's stronger than anything that was ever holding up that wall. That literally the power to overcome death. So it's pretty wild stuff. I still don't understand it completely. I really don't.
Yeah, but I'm afraid of it.
It's the beginning
Right?
of knowledge, is my understanding. Yeah, that fear.
Yeah. You have to weigh it and understand it. And, right? I mean, we can be frank, right? Be true with you. Yeah, I'm afraid of it. It's that vulnerability, and there's a line.
Yeah, that's.
So I have to understand where the line's at.
Yeah. There's a line. There's a line. Absolutely. Sometimes I find myself ready, but then I know that I'm not. Otherwise, I wouldn't be here.
Right.
I like to think, as we talk about, like we don't have control. I have all kinds of ideas of what my plans are and what I think it looks like to live out my life to what it's meant to be, and how long that is going to take to fully fulfill all the obligations or fulfill all of my purpose here on this planet until that time comes. And I have my ideas of how long that's going to, what that looks like time-wise, you know, especially in relation to others, children. But I don't know. And sometimes I have moments where I'm like, that's fine that I don't know, and that I'm okay with that.
Yeah.
But there's also but I don't know. And where is that line? Where is that line when I cross over and this world doesn't need me anymore? What? I don't know. But there is something in that weakness that it also shows up as that comforter and that strength. It doesn't make sense.
No, I mean, I feel like it makes a lot of sense. It's just still afraid.
Mm.
Still afraid. Self-preservation, I think,
Mm.
is what it is,
Yeah.
right?
Yep.
That's the fear part.
Mm. Yeah. Yes, I understand. That's where all of those introverted years of mine came from, was a strong feeling of self-preservation. If people know me, that's it. I don't have any. Then I have no legs to stand on. You know, I'll be judged. They're gonna be like, this. You know the real things about me, this and that. Like, it's over for me. You know, I don't have. Nobody will ever truly understand how is he that person. Unacceptable. You know.
Yeah.
I came to find out it was a lie. The more I've allowed those walls to break down in the right circumstances, not just willy-nilly, standing with a street corner with all of my short failings out on the, shouting them at the top of my lungs. But those moments that presented themselves in the times and spaces that were presented to do so, and instead of choosing to withhold and keep those strongholds up that were the lie of self-preservation, the fullness of life has never been as full as being invited into those moments.
See,
I know, yes.
you're challenging me.
Mm.
Not in a negative way.
No, no, not at all negative.
But it's challenging.
Yeah, yeah. There is a challenge there. There is a challenge. Absolutely.
And you know what the great thing is? If I don't meet the challenge, you won't think less of me.
Absolutely not.
Yeah. So there's grace there too.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah. So I appreciate that. Yeah, I don't have any fear of that, of your judgment. It's just scary
Yeah.
to pull everything back and expose yourself. Yeah. It's a little scary.
Sorry, I immediately pictured Troy taking his shirt off. Sorry. Sorry. So sorry.
If that's what's happening, I really don't want to
No,
come.
he won't. He might not even be there. He likes to do a breakfast Sunday morning, so he often is, especially at Tinley. But so, anyway,
So
you are right though. I don't know what you would have to do for me to think less of you, but it would have to be
this
extreme.
not it?
It would
Yeah.
have to be extreme. Based on the things I've seen you do when nobody's looking, as well as just like who you've been since we've got to know each other. I don't see that. I don't think that's in you to do what it would take for me to lose the respect. So good luck with that.
thanks for taking the opportunity to talk about Judy.
Of course, man. You don't have to thank me for that. It was the only thing I could think of when it came to her.
Yeah. It's sometimes it's hard. But like with our great friend Brian, once that immediate pain period passes, it's just really good feelings and good memories. Right? So the Judy loss and having her pass is still painful right now. Just happened last week. But I'm confident that given some time and space, when I think about her, it can only be positive. Right? And
Yeah.
with Barczyk now, when I think about him, nothing but great feelings.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
nothing but great feelings. I mean, it literally just makes me smile to think about Brian and the fun times we had.
That's huge.
Yeah. And so Judy, same thing. Yeah. It'll be all positive.
Yeah, that's huge.
Yeah. So thanks.
Yeah, thanks
I
for sharing.
appreciate
Like,
it.
literally, there's even just one person that's going to watch this is going to have a major effect on. I've done this long enough that I almost know that to be a fact now. I can't guarantee it,
Right?
but based on how long I've been doing it, chances are there's going to be more than one.
Yeah.
And so the fact that you were willing to, is going to be huge for somebody.
We'll see.
Yeah, we'll see.
Yeah. Thanks.
Thank you, bro. Love you, man.
Love you too.
Thank you for watching. I hope that Judy's story and everything that Rob and I were just kind of discussing, Robin mostly discussing, because I just want to hear him talk, that if you got something from that, please comment down below and let us know that what was shared here today meant something to you. I think that would be appreciated. So we'll see you next week right here on Redline Report. Until then, y'all take care.
Yes, isn't it sweet? We ended up talking about Judy.
Oh, very nice.
Yeah. So. Whoa, hey, whoa.